Ibandla letelukhetho nemingcele Elections and Boundaries Commission bathi sasive kutsi kuvota ngalokukhetsekile special voting kutawuba mhla tingemashumi lamabili nesitfupha kulesetulu 26 September 2023. Kanti lukhetho lolukhulu lona lutawubanjwa mhla tingemashumi lamabili nemfica kulesetulu 29 September 2023. Ngete ngasala nasakha live lethu.
Ngeke ngikuvotele bese unginiketa 200 emalangeni. Hayi ngeke akungelula.
Liphalishe iqiniso siyalifuna kepha kube kuyangami ngabe sawukhetha nababantu labatawuletha lushinjo balethe inguquko umuntu lotawuthi bantu labasha mango wakithi manifuna kuphila manifuna liphalishe nakule kufunani kweni hayi ukuthi umuntu utasinika liphalishe utasinika mase kangenile sitawusala sibe yini
Ezehle ushaya yona wena sibamvu labasha mhla ka 29 asambeni siyowucedzela naku lesakucala siphume ngetinkhansi siphelele simake sure ukuthi siyavota
umango wonke sambeni kuma secondary elections sikhethe nangumuntu wenhlitiyo yethu masingakhetha kahle singabe singcobile mngani
hayi laba sinike amapalishi bani laba tasifundisa ukuthi lipalishi
uletha njani ayisile mngani
yemngani amasambe nkosiyami nayi nale khumbi yasemphakathi seyifikile
It's not by the efforts of one, but by the combined efforts of many. You're going to reach people that nobody else can reach. I come and light a fire and watch it burn. God's not finished with Africa. In the divine atmosphere of heaven, the Lord will forge in you that which He wants you to do. And the grace to carry the mantle will be upon your life. And God has raised you up for this hour. Better than that, Captain. Come on.
I got the Holy Ghost. Got the Holy Ghost and fire. Fill me with the Holy Ghost.
There's no price like the ShopRite price, which means you'll get low prices on everything you need. Like a tub of Right Brand medium fat spread for only $23.99. And Farmer's Choice frozen mixed chicken portions for just $179.99. The ShopRite price, the price you can trust, always.
It has just gone 8 o'clock Central African time. Good evening and welcome to the news bulletin at 8. Put your Eswatini TV. I'm Sunny Poingon. I'm with Namakabes Ongambole. We're coming to you live from the Hospital Hill Studios in Babane. For your top stories at 8, let's dive straight into it and take a look.
His Majesty King Mswati III has addressed the United Nations General Assembly. His Majesty King Mswati III has met with the President of South Korea, His Excellency Yoon Suk Yeol, while in New York. And the government has announced the 29th of September 2023 as a public holiday.
Hello again, and now for the news in detail. His Majesty King Mswati III has addressed the United Nations General Assembly. The King says the Kingdom of Eswatini will continue striving and working towards attaining the United Nations Agenda 2030. The King was addressing the 78th United Nations General Assembly held in New York, where the King revealed the Assembly about the constitution and Tingula system of the country and how it works.
His Majesty King Mswati III, accompanied by Inkosikati Mage Lamahlangu, took part in the UN high-level meeting that is underway here in New York. After the official opening of the General Assembly on Tuesday, the 19th, member states started delivering their addresses as per the schedule by the United Nations. His Majesty and other world leaders continued to address pressing world issues at the 78th United Nations General Assembly. The United Nations General Debate is one of the anticipated annual events and offers a platform for leaders to address issues of international concern. Addressing the General Assembly, His Majesty King Mswati III said member states need to unite more than ever at this moment to attain peace and the sustainable development goals. His Majesty also highlighted that the Kingdom of Eswatini strongly believes and supports the call for the silencing of guns.
Mr. President, the Kingdom of Eswatini embraces multilateral cooperation and prioritizes adherence to international laws when looking to address the challenges posed by conflicts and wars. We therefore support the global call for silencing of guns which affect the most vulnerable groups. We remain steadfast in our call for peaceful resolution of conflicts and the continual improvement of democratic and inclusive governance.
Ingwenyama has also revealed to the General Assembly that even though the kingdom has been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic like other countries, but the country is still striving towards attaining the Agenda 2030.
Significant strides have been made by the Kingdom of Eswatini in increasing access to electricity since adoption of the 2030 Agenda. We now have national coverage above 80%. Also notable progress has been made in terms of road and ICT infrastructure connecting cities and economic zones. When it comes to access to basic water services, 69% of the population now enjoy this necessity, and access to basic sanitation services has reached 58% of our people. The literacy rate among adults aged 15 and above has improved from 79% in 2000 to 87%. The gross enrollment ratio for primary education has increased from 97% in 2000 to 104%. In the lead up to the SDG summit this week, the Kingdom of Eswatini undertook a series of consultations in each region, seeking the views of the people regarding how best to accelerate the attainment of the SDGs. Mr. President, Eswatini has continued to cherish a homegrown and unique model of a people-driven democratic governance. Like many other democracies, our constitution recognizes the role of the monarchy as well as a bicameral parliament, separation of powers, fundamental human rights, and the rule of law. It takes into account our rich cultural heritage and traditional African values in that it is grounded in respect, consensus, and community support through traditional structures. It is a monarchical democracy.
The king during the General Assembly was accompanied by Eswatini Ambassador at the United Nations, His Excellency Tammy Dlamini, His Royal Highness Prince Begogwake, Her Royal Highness Princess Lindiwe, Chief Jozani, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, the Minister of Health and the Minister of Commerce and Trade Industry. The leaders are addressing issues on peace and security, sustainable development goals, development financing, climate change and pandemic prevention, preparedness and response. On the news, I'm Paulile Mazia in New York, in the United States of America.
His Majesty King Mswati III has met with the President of South Korea, His Excellency Yoon Suk Yeol, while in New York. Now, the King also met with the Minister of State from the United Arab Emirates. During the meetings, the King had bilateral talks on how to further strengthen the relations between the countries in Eswatini.
Your Majesty, how are you? Yes, very nice to see you. Thank you. You too? Very well. Wonderful.
His Majesty King Mswati III, while in New York in the United States of America, met with the Minister of State of the United Arab Emirates, His Excellency Sheikh Shakbut Al Nahyan. The King and His Excellency had bilateral talks while at the United Nations headquarters to enhance the cooperation between the two countries. The Kingdom of Eswatini and the United Arab Emirates are very keen to strengthen trade and economic relations, notably in manufacturing and other strategic areas. His Majesty King Mswati III met with the President of South Korea, His Excellency Yoon Suk Yeol. The diplomatic relations between Eswatini and South Korea were established in 1968, and the two countries have continued to develop friendly and cooperative relations. The King and the President had bilateral talks on expanding bilateral cooperation. The cooperation has been created in the fields of health, welfare, customs administration, and personal training into a wider range of areas. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia in New York.
His Majesty King Mswati III has revealed that Eswatini is ranked number 9 amongst the 10 African countries with the highest GPD per capita. Now, the King was speaking during the 78th UN General Assembly in New York.
When making his remarks at the 78th UN General Assembly, His Majesty King Mswati III said Eswatini has been ranked top 5 by the World Bank for growing her economy with a GDP growth at about 7.8%. His Majesty said Eswatini has attained the second greatest manufacturing value added per capita country, and she is placed 6th on the 2022 Africa Industrialization Index. Furthermore, the King said Eswatini has been ranked number 9 amongst the 10 African countries with the highest GDP per capita. This was made possible by government through the implementation of programs that are aimed at ensuring the sustainable growth of the country's economy for the benefit for all who live in it, as per the aspirations of the Strategic Roadmap 2019 to 2022. And these include the setting up of a relief fund valued at 90 million malangeni through the Eswatini Revenue Service, improving Eswatini's business environment through the ease of doing business, infrastructure investment and innovation, agriculture, tourism, mining and energy, promoting an export-driven economy, manufacturing and the creation of jobs. According to the World Bank open data, Eswatini's GDP for 2022 was $4.85 billion, a 2.22% increase from 2021. Eswatini's GDP for 2021 was $4.75 billion, which was a 19.25% increase from 2020. Reporting, I'm Lungilele Makakula in Babane.
Following the highly expected secondary elections on the 29th of September 2023, the Communications Officer of the Elections and Boundaries Commission, Mbonisi Bembe, has praised His Majesty King Mswati III's United Nations address in New York. Now, the King highlighted that the 2023 primary elections were a great success, and the statistics of registered Maswat is convincing that the upcoming secondary elections will be exceptional. Bembe conveyed his gratitude at Lubambo on Thursday.
Delivering his speech in the 78th United Nations General Assembly in New York, His Majesty said the 2023 primary elections were peacefully conducted and Maswati are showing great interest as we head towards the secondary elections. The King says this has been observed through the 583,000 people who registered for the 2023 elections, forming 95% of Maswati qualifying to vote. This statistic is a historic record following suspicions that this year's elections will be disrupted following the recent political tensions in the country. In an interview with the Eswatini Boundaries and Elections Commission's Communications Officer Mbonisi Bembe, he praises His Majesty's remarks and further reveals that the statistics of registered Maswati is a true reflection that Maswati are fond of their country, and he encouraged them to exercise their right and vote.
Ngingacala ngekukhutha lwandle kuzo kuyo inkulumo yesilo nasi phefumulela umhlaba wonke jikelele, ikakhulu umhlangano webaholi bemave mave tasithombe semsebenzi waho eMaswati welukhetho.
In an interview with Same Maswati following His Majesty's remarks, They sounded happy on how peaceful the elections are and are promising to participate in the final leg, which is the secondary elections.
Sisajabula ukuthi lihambe kahle lekhetho lokuqala. Kube bede umsindo netihibe lebekhona. Ngaleyo ndlela ke sibuye usuku lesibili kube bede futhi inkinga lebakhona.
Bakhetha kahle ku primary elections. We hopefully siyathemba ukuthi kutawuhamba kahle nakulolo likhulu.
Nje bekukahle kakhulu. Namanje sifisela ukuthi abantu bangene bajoyine mhla ka-29 baqhubeke bakhethe kube kahle ongekhambe kahle.
Nasakha kwethu ngeke sisale. Ngoba lo mthetho lo yoshaywa le ubukele thina eMaswati.
Loluncane luhambe kahle sesithandazela kusina lolukhulu lusihambile kahle.
Winners of the secondary elections will form part of the 12th parliament and are expected to play a fundamental role in helping government achieve the sustainable development goals by 2030. For Eswatini TV, I'm Pendulo Kumbi with Cindy Swazwane and Fabrice Musonera Mbabane.
His Majesty King Mswati III has addressed the issue of youth unemployment in the Kingdom of Eswatini. His Majesty said the nation seeks to create job opportunities where the youth will be employed. Now, young people in the country have reacted positively to His Majesty's address at the United Nations.
The Eswatini overall youth population for the year 2023 is 65%, which increases problems faced by the youth, but the most important one is the rate of unemployment. His Majesty King Mswati III addressed this issue during the UN Assembly, where he mentioned that Eswatini is in process of creating job opportunities or opening businesses to keep the youth busy.
Siyabonga inkulumo yengonyama sibonga kakhulu ukusikhuthaza edinfenet nengi sibonga nje kakhulu siyacela nomsebenzi ukuthi nalabanye nalabancane labangangami ngazi ukuthi lo msebenzi wetandla ingaba ngiyo nalokuthi sikhona kusitakala nakulabanye.
Jabulile kuva inkulumo yenkosi noma sekusho ukuthi sitawuvulekelwa mathuba emsebenzi sibamfla basha.
Sicela kubonga inkosi yethu Mswati. Sithembe ukuthi lethi ke asendela kona lokuhle. Nalokuthi ikhonile ukusibambela umhlangano khona sisiphezekise amaphupho ethu ukuthi nasicetha isikole sikhona ukuthi sithole imisebenzi.
Ingonyama isikhala esiningi nje ivame ukukhuluma nje into letakako. Singabonga nangabe kutholakala lemisebenzi nje phansi abantu abasha nabo bakhona lokusebenza.
Sibonga inkosi ukuthi ikhulumile about ngokuthi masiqeda ikole sifuna sithole umsebenzi isikukhulu vele kuphila without umsebenzi.
During a phone call conversation with the Communications Officer for Youth Council, Sibonga Konke Mamba, she said the Youth Council is working so hard to bring job opportunities to youth and is willing to fund those who need funding in starting their own businesses. According to research, the Eswatini youth unemployment rate for 2022 was 49%, which proves that Eswatini has to create more job opportunities and hire the youth in order to fulfill Sustainable Development Goal Number 8, which talks about reaching decent work and economic growth. Reporting is Cindy Swazwane with Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane.
The Chief Police Information and Communications Officer, Pindile Vlad, encourages the nation to be alert, or to alert rather, the police when they see suspected illegal guns anywhere in the country. She says such guns end up being used in the commission of crimes and killing of innocent people. They said this when speaking to Eswatini TV's journalists concerning His Majesty King Mswati III speech, which he delivered at the United Nations General Assembly, wherein His Majesty emphasized the country's commitment to the African United Nations call for silencing the guns in Africa.
Had even the heads of the country in the meeting they are having, they are emphasizing on surrendering of such firearms that are in the wrong hands. So as a country as well, we are encouraging people to surrender those firearms that are not lawful, and further, anyone who might know anyone who is holding such should report to the nearest police station. Also remember that the National Commissioner announced that people can surrender the firearms that are illegal. So that door was never closed. People should continue bringing such firearms so that we can be safe.
The Minister for Finance, Neil Rickenback, says government established public enterprises with the aim of achieving efficiencies and effectiveness in the delivery of certain national services. Rickenback says these required services should be provided faster using professional approach. Now, the Minister was speaking during an engagement session on government and the effectiveness of public enterprises hosted by the Eswatini Enterprise Association held in Eswatini.
In a bid to sharpen and improve governance and the effectiveness of public enterprises in Eswatini, managing directors and chief executive officers of government enterprises were sharing ideas on how these enterprises can be in a position to deliver as per their mandate. The Minister for Finance, Neil Rickenback, encouraged the executives to promote robust governance practices.
By setting up semi-autonomous public institutions, the government is seeking to achieve optimal efficiencies and effectiveness in the delivery of certain national services in terms of speed, cost, and effectiveness, as well as a professional approach to how we do things.
The Auditor General, Timothy Matsebula, encourages enterprises to set up systems that will ensure delivery.
Everybody needs to comply, have the audit financial statements. So if actually there are delays, those delays will be, we are trying to fix that problem which we had not anticipated.
Dr. Adrian Saville, the main speaker, gave an example of where he comes from, that there is scarcity of water and electricity, which is as a result of corruption.
This is what happens when governance collapses, that what were once very strong state-owned enterprises have been entirely corroded and compromised.
The government of Eswatini has commissioned a consolidation exercise of state-owned enterprises, which will result in the reduction of 49 enterprises to 31. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, Tamba Shabango, Ezulwini.
The Minister for Justice, Polile Shakantu, says the government of Eswatini has long recognized the importance of research and informing policies, programming and also responses. The minister says the government has ratified the International Convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women along other key human rights agreements. Now, Shakantu was speaking during a virtual meeting, which is a side meeting of the United Nations General Assembly.
The International Organization for Migration facilitated a meeting to deliberate on issues of gender, migration, and the Sustainable Development Goals for developing countries, including the Kingdom of Eswatini. When officially opening the virtual meeting, the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Polile Shakantu, shared the country's successes in the area of rectifying international conventions.
The Kingdom of Eswatini ratified the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, along with other key human rights agreements, including the 2 international covenants and the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. These fundamental instruments are duly integrated into our legislative and administrative system to ensure their effective implementation.
The minister commends collective efforts that countries have shown, which can play a huge role in the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, Babane.
The government of the Kingdom of Eswatini has announced that the 29th of September 2023 as a public holiday. The announcement was made by the Acting Minister of Home Affairs, Chief Ndalhlaza Ndwandwe, in a press conference held in the Ministry of Home Affairs offices in Babane.
In accordance with the Public Holidays Act 1938, I am pleased to inform the public that Friday, 29 September 2023, is declared as a national elections holiday in the Kingdom of Eswatini. This holiday has been established with the primary purpose of ensuring that all members of the electorate, regardless of their employment status, have sufficient time to exercise their right to vote. This measure is crucial to guaranteeing the smooth running of the election process and fostering a truly participatory democracy.
Right now, with that, we shift gears now into the world of business, where we get a sense of how markets fared today by looking at our financial indicators to give us a sense of how our markets fared today in a financial report.
Standard Bank. It can be.
Welcome back, and now in the world of sports, the Minister for Sports, Harris Blunga, says the newly constructed Mkhuzweni Technical Center will enhance regional football development programs, which will also benefit the country as a whole. Blunga was speaking when officially opening the technical center at Mkhuzweni in the whole region.
The Minister for Sports, Harris Blunga, has officially opened the Mkhuzweni Technical Center, which will be used by local football clubs based in the whole region. Making his remarks in the event, Bulunga highlighted the importance of such facilities, which he says will enhance the development of sports starting from grassroots. Bulunga added by stating that the facilities is perfectly timed with the start of the season that is upon us. Two of the biggest teams in the country, Mbabane Swallows and Mbabane Highlanders, will face each other in the Momo Cup playoffs games that will be played this coming Saturday. The Mbabane Derby has in history drawn a huge number of fans' attendance and also divided opinions amongst football lovers. This weekend, the teams will face off in a knockout game. The last time they faced off, Highlanders were the winners in the last 16 round of the Ingonyama Cup in 2020. Kenneth Moloto was the goal scorer of the only goal of the match. Highlanders has in the past 6 games in the league that the two teams have played, they have won 2, drawn 3, and lost only once, and have in the process scored 5 goals against Swallows' 4. They will be looking at keeping that record going even this coming weekend. Mbabane Swallows will be looking at Felix Badenhorst for inspiration, while Mbabane Highlanders will be looking at Pilanem Convo. The games will be played at the Mavuso Sports Center on Saturday at 4 p.m. after the first game of the Black Swallows and Lozita Spurs game that will kick off at 2 p.m. In international sports, Manchester United goalkeeper Andre Onana has come out to take responsibility for his mistakes against Bayern Munich in the Champions League, where Manchester United lost the game by 4 goals to 3. Onana says his mistakes costed the team the game as he committed it during the time where Manchester United were on top of Bayern. He says he will work hard on being a better player for the team as he has struggled since arriving in England. In other Champions League games, Arsenal recorded a win in their first Champions League game since 2017 when they defeated PSV by 4 goals to 0. Real Madrid needed a late Jude Bellingham goal to beat Union Berlin by a goal to 0. In the Rugby World Cup, Italy defeated Uruguay by 38 to 17 points, which has taken them top of Pool A. The tournament is played in France. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizom Sibi. Pictures are sourced from DW France 24 and VOA.
Well, with those sports news, we've hit the home stretch of the news bulletin at 8 at Eswatini TV. But before we go, here's a quick reminder of news-making headlines tonight. His Majesty King Mswati III has addressed the United Nations General Assembly. His Majesty King Mswati III has met with the President of South Korea, His Excellency Yoon Suk Yeol, while in New York. And the government has announced the 29th of September 2023 as a public holiday. Beautiful Kingdom of Eswatini, that's all we had for you from the news desk. We shall now cross over to the Weather Center for a detailed weather report from us and the rest of the team here at Eswatini TV. For now, it's a good night. God bless.
And your rewards card.
There are thousands of reasons to choose Spar with the Spar Rewards Grand Cash Giveaway, where you could win instant cash with your new Spar Rewards card. Plus, get amazing savings, like 800-gram Nescafe Recoffee value pack for only $79.99 or 750-gram Nestle Cremora for just $49.99. Win your share of thousands in cash instantly with the Spar